Fantastic. Well, welcome everyone to the Thrill session at the Festival of Innovation. My name is Ella Baskerville. I am Business Development Director here at blooloop, and I'm today joined by two brilliant panelists. We've got Lora Sauls, who's Assistant Director of Creative Development and Show Direction for Art, Design and Entertainment at Universal Orlando Resort. Hi, Laura.
Hi.
And we've got John Burton, who's Senior Creative Lead at Merlin Entertainments. Hi, John.
Hello. Hiya, how you doing?
So thanks both for your time today and joining us. Really excited for the session ahead. We'll be looking at key trends that will be impacting thrilling attractions and experiences, looking ahead at the future of this type of entertainment and hearing what you've both been working on recently. So I think we can kick off by asking you both to introduce yourselves in a bit more detail, what you're working on and what's happening in your part of the world. So Laura, maybe you kick off.
My name is Lora Sauls. I have had the great honor to work for Universal Orlando for 28 years. I started, it's an interesting start to my journey with Universal. I started as a singing and dancing Bride of Frankenstein. Back then, I never thought my trajectory would be to be a big part of Halloween Horror Nights. But over my 28 years of being at Universal, I was introduced to Halloween Horror Nights in 1998. Then I was introduced, I choreographed and staged a lot of the live shows. I still, at that time, was not a huge horror fan. But when I became a show director in 2000, TJ Manarino, who is this vice president for art and design, saw something in me. He knew I was a fraidy cat, and he brought me in as a part of the creative development team for Halloween Horror Nights. I have not stopped since. I am now a huge horror fan. I love horror movies, which I couldn't even step into a theater back then in the 90s for a horror film. So now the bug has bit me, and it's been a great privilege and an honor to work on Universal Orlando's Halloween Horror Nights for the past over 2 decades.
Fantastic.
What's your favorite horror film, Laura?
Oh, that one is hard because I absolutely love the original Halloween. Like, it is such a good film. And every time I watch it, it just makes me so happy. And I just absolutely love that film. So probably the original Halloween.
Incredible. Well, fantastic. That's great to hear that you're literally Bride of Frankenstein to the top with Halloween Horror Nights. So John, tell us a bit about yourself.
Sure. So I'm John Burton. I'm Senior Creative Lead for Merlin Entertainments, working across the resort theme parks. So that's Alton Towers, Chesington Thorpe Park, Gardaland in Italy, and Heide Park in Germany. And I might have been with Merlin now for nearly 10 years, but 8 years in this role. A bit like you, Laura, I actually started off as a costume character at one of our sea life centres early on. I was a sheep running around a sea life centre. Don't ask me why a sheep, very strange IP relations. But I started off my career there whilst I was studying architecture. And I haven't looked back since I got this role now, working as a creative and now senior creative lead, working on lots of incredible projects across the business.
Fantastic. Well, I can't wait to hear your insights. I think we're going to start by talking about Halloween. So that's a huge trend in terms of thrilling experiences, and haunt attractions are just growing year on year in terms of scale and length. So Laura, kicking off to you, with Universal's Halloween Horror Nights, how do you keep your event fresh? It's been going for so many years. How do you approach it when you begin planning?
We just celebrated 33 years of Halloween Horror Nights in Orlando. I think the one thing that we do is we really try to not duplicate content year over year. We did that once. And we realized that it didn't do as well the second year it was a haunted house. So we really try to create new content every single year of the event, which is why I think people love to come to our event specifically, because there is new content every single year.
Mm-hmm. And also, I like how you kind of it's got such a fandom around it that there's storylines that are in one house that you then pop up 2 or 3 years later. It's got such a base and like a lore around it. It's amazing.
Yeah, we love to throw those Easter eggs into our houses of past, haunted houses. This past year in Slaughter Cinema, in the zombie clown room, there was BuzzCon, was the culprit of making those clowns into zombies. And that was a haunted house for us a couple years ago with bugs. And BuzzCon was the company that made those giant bugs come at us. So we love putting those Easter eggs in for our fans. And we love tying a lot of our lore together. So thank you.
And I guess the fandom must also tell you what, inspire you for the next year. Like if there's a particular room in the house that's doing particularly well, it kind of gives you ideas.
100%. When we really do listen to our guests. The one thing we love to do as creatives, we love to stand at the end of the haunted houses and listen to what they're saying, what they loved, what they were the most scared of. And so taking all of that feedback from surveys to just actually hearing what they're saying when they're exiting, we really do look at all of that and build it into what we want to do for the next year. Take a look at what rooms are working, what ideas are working. Everyone loved this year. Slaughter Cinema had a huge fan base. And we really know that's because they got to see 9 different scenes of 9 different movies. And we know people love that. One thing we were very proud about in Halloween 33 was there was something for everyone. And that's also what we want to make sure we give to our guests. We know there are fans out there of slasher movies, but if we had 10 houses of slashers, only those fans would love that. So we really want to make sure we have diverse content for our fans, which are diverse fans as well.
Fantastic.
I think it's really interesting, Laura, that you mentioned about changing content, because I think that's something that we've noticed as well with Gen Z audiences. Their demand for places like Netflix to always want new deliverable content. I think we're seeing that in our attractions industry as well, that demand for new, fresh, shiny, constantly, especially from our younger audiences as well.
Definitely. So John, what have Merlin done over the Halloween season? What's your
so our equivalent of what would be like your Halloween Horror Nights, Laura, we have Alton Towers has Scarefest, we've got Thorpe Park with Fright Nights. They've all got their own different identities and names. Chesington, which is like an animal park, is called Halloween, so it's got that link to werewolves. And Legoland's, we've got the Brick or Treat events as well. So each one will be tailored accordingly to the audiences. Thorpe Park is very much that older teen audience, so it is driven far more down that fear route. Chesington is much more the younger audiences, so they're more trick-or-treat type experiences. But Alton Towers this year, what we've seen and what we've actually been working on is more of a diverse attraction. It used to be very horror, a bit like we were describing, Laura, about like slasher-based stuff. It was very much just down that one route. But to diversify the product and encourage more audience to actually attend, we've been expanding that. So now we've actually started introducing in amongst the mix of this different types of like experiences that maybe are younger focused, actor-led experiences, maybe some trick-or-treat, knock on doors, get some sweet type bag action, but there is a product for everyone. So like you described Halloween Horror Nights, there's something for everyone. We're doing the same as well, but across the age demographics as well.
Absolutely. So looking at kind of the other part of Thrills, looking at coasters, John, let's talk about Hyperia. So that opened at Thorpe Park this year. It's the tallest and fastest coaster in the UK. Can you speak a bit about the coaster experience, how you created it, what you made?
Absolutely. It's been such an exciting year here in the UK for new roller coasters. We've had Nemesis, which is an iconic roller coaster, reopening this year. Very exciting to be part of that. But Hyperia, I mean, we haven't broken the record for the highest roller coaster in the UK for 30 years. I mean, it sits at 72 meters, 236 feet tall. We are on a very constrained island surrounded by water. And the development of that project has taken nearly 4 years and so many bits of manpower to make it a reality. And what we've found is the constraints we had to work with, from the topography, the height restrictions. We're literally right next to Heathrow Airport with all those hundreds of aircraft taking off. So we have to be so conscious of all these things. But what that actually led us with Mac Rides is all those challenges actually helped us drive the innovation of the product and develop something that was really quite unique. We were able to profile the track in ways, because the site was so small, to develop totally unique elements that were world first elements that people are all talking about, because they're creating such sensational airtime moments on the ride, which was something the UK just didn't really have in its portfolio of roller coasters. We create lots of roller coasters with lots of kind of positive G-forces pushing you down, making you feel like you weigh a lot more. Now we were going the opposite way, and we looked at like places like America and the trends that were happening with some of the roller coaster designs across the water there, and we said, why can't we bring some of that to the UK? And so that's how Hyperion is now one of the most weightless roller coasters, which creates such a euphoric experience for our guests that we've got people who say they're terrified of roller coasters now saying, I want to go on again, because they just love the euphoric nature of what we're now giving to them. They've not experienced that before.
Definitely. It's like turning that thrill into that kind of happy release at the end.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, John, I'm a huge coaster fanatic. So everything you're saying, I'm like, oh, I want to ride that coaster.
You have to come over and ride it.
Definitely. Well, so you both touched on it then. Going back to Halloween, you spoke about the family-friendly kind of offerings. Are there any other trends that you're seeing within Halloween events that how it's evolving through the years as well? Maybe to Lora first.
For us, we see the evolution of our street program as really one of the biggest things that we want to evolve. Our houses, there's formulas that are working, and we're constantly trying to get more immersive and get richer storylines and just really, like I said before, diverse content. But we really feel like in our Scare Zone program, there's so much more that we can do to evolve that Scare Zone program. And we all know that the Scare Zone program, the streets of Universal Orlando, everyone experiences. Anyone that walks through the gates of Halloween Horror Nights will experience what they're seeing in the street. So that is one place that we really want to evolve. We are finding that our food and merchandise partners are getting very involved with IP flavors and just IP courses that are available to you. And so we're really collaborating with those partners to try to do unique and different things with our Scare Zone program, do experiences throughout the streets. We're really trying to evolve and engage people in the streets in uniquely different ways.
Definitely.
I was going to say, Laura, the s'mores marshmallow man was absolutely incredible.
That's what I was going to say, John. I had one too.
It was the #1 seller for Halloween 33. That was for sure. Everyone loved the little marshmallow man, toasted marshmallow man.
Yeah, definitely. So that's an example of IP coming into food and beverage. How do you approach it when you're looking at it every year? How many IP-based houses do you do versus homegrown, and what's the kind of magic mix?
Well, we in Orlando, like our perfect mix would be a 5-5 split. That is giving us, 5 really unique, diverse intellectual properties, because again, we want to make sure that even with our intellectual properties, we don't have, 5 slashers, right? That we have unique and diverse characters, monsters, human aggressors in those intellectual properties. And then with our original content, we then can craft and really diversify the content once we solidify our IPs. This last year in 33, we had a 6-4 split. And that was just because we had some really strong IPs. And so we felt that, the 6-4 split with 6 original content houses and 4 huge horror franchises for IPs was a good split for 33. But really, we really strive for that 5-5 split.
Yeah. And it's interesting, you're finding IP in different areas. So like you had obviously Last of Us from the gaming world, and was it The Weeknd a few years ago where, from the music industry?
Yeah, we really look across all horror just genres and things, from music to films to series. We try to look at it all, and that is because if we look at it all, it really does diversify our content and brings a new audience into our event. And we have said this over and over. Once a new group of audience comes into the event, they are bitten by that bug and they will keep coming back.
Yeah, for sure. And so that's in the kind of creation side of things. I understand Universal does this, maybe John, Merlin do the same. You do the behind the scenes tour as well, which is like another revenue generation. So how's that been this year?
It's our behind the scenes Unmasking the Horror tours are incredible. They are sold out as soon as they are available to our fans. Some of the guests that go on those behind the scenes really want a deeper look at how we do things. Some of the people that go on that behind the scenes tour just don't want to go to Halloween Horror Nights because they don't want the scare, but they want to see what it's all about. We were just on a meeting with our RIP or VIP tour guide leadership, and they were telling us that a good portion of the people that go on those behind the scene tours, some of them just don't want to go to the event because they don't want to be scared, but they want to know what's there. So with the RIP tours, the daytime behind the scenes tours, our team writes a almost 300-page book for our RIP tour guides. In this information that those RIP tour guides are armed with are all kinds of fun facts from our decor team, from our scenic team, from our costume makeup teams, fun facts from our show direction team. So you really are pulling back that curtain and seeing and hearing about how the creation and how it was created, what went into the creation. You're really getting just behind the scenes look at everything that goes into Halloween Horror Nights.
Amazing. And John, does Merlin do anything similar?
Yeah, we do very similar things. It's really interesting, actually, Laura, when you talk about your IP split. Within Merlin, we don't have as much access to the IPs that, say, Universal has access to. So what we've found, a bit like what you're saying about diversifying and looking out there, what we've found is some of the IPs we have brought in, we've looked at people like Daz Games, who is a YouTuber who has millions of viewers, and you would never think there'd be too much of a link, but he plays lots of horror games. But what we've found is that attraction alone is actually one of the most successful attractions, and to your point, has brought in such a new audience who are getting that bug for Halloween type experiences from that. Even though some of them may be the more kind of classic, they love the original type stuff, audience that we do always see might not like that stuff as much. The new audience is bringing them in. And we also find that we're building a lot of our attractions based on our own IPs. So this year we relaunched Nemesis, and with Nemesis Reborn. But what we've done for Halloween is we've continued that story through various events to keep that message going throughout the year. So we've created a Halloween kind of maze experience that's based on the next chapter of that story and gone more into the lure of what's happening there, but with a darker side and darker twist. And then our fireworks show fundamentally followed through with that as well. So this year we've had a year of kind of that message through the different types of experiences as well. And to your point about behind the scenes, some of our attractions like Thought Park have done those where they allow the guests that behind the scenes look at what we do as well.
Fantastic. No, I think it's such a clever extra revenue stream to kind of utilize what you've got in the daytime, isn't it? Until it gets dark. So, okay, let's go and get nerdy again about coasters. So, John, you've been a great judge for us on the panelists this year for the Innovation Awards. Is there any kind of trends that you've noticed in kind of the thrills category, particularly coasters and rides that you've seen?
Yes, so I think there was some absolutely incredible entrants into the Innovations Award this year, and it's really shown the different trends that are happening across the industry. Mm-hmm. What I'm starting to notice is that hardware is very expensive nowadays, with the cost of everything steel going up. And I think what we're noticing is there's kind of two directions things are heading in. You're getting a very clear focus on hardware, which is clearly where a lot of the project's budgets are heading towards. So you're getting things that are getting the claims. And to our earlier conversation about like instant gratification, a claim is an easy segue to the audience to go, this is new, this is shiny, I want to go and experience, like Hyperia, the tallest roller coaster in the UK, the fastest as well. It's an easy segue to get that marketing hook for them. But then on the other side, you're also looking at that more really immersive experience-led attractions and roller coasters where the focus is maybe less on the hardware, but just on that entire combined experience through dark ride scenes, through maybe some of the trick track elements that might be hidden within that experience as well. And I see the industry kind of going in those two directions, and you can see that through the likes of Hyperia, Siren's Curse at Cedar Point. That's very hardware led, and all the new attractions that we can see that are being built at Epic are just incredible attractions, indoor experiences through multiple different environments that are being created.
Yeah, absolutely. Laura, what's your thoughts as an enthusiast?
Well, I love at Universal Orlando, Islands of Adventure, the Velocicoaster blends that kind of storytelling that you are being chased by raptors, and then it just thrusts you into that ultra fast, ultra high winding kind of coaster experience. I love the blend of storytelling and thrills, right? That's exactly what we do at Halloween Horror Nights. We tell stories, we try to thrill you and scare you and put you in uncomfortable situations, but always with that storyline. I love that you talked about, John, that you built on Nemesis. In Halloween 32, we did very much the same thing, building on the lore of Jack the Clown, who is our most popular icon for Halloween Horror Nights. And, you know, his story was always about Dr. Oddfellow, but we never met Dr. Oddfellow. So in 32, we decided to bring Dr. Oddfellow out of the shadows and into the light and really build upon the lore of Jack and really dig into linking a lot of what our history of Halloween Horror Nights into that lore. So, but coasters, I'm a huge fan of the blending of storytelling and thrills.
I think that's something as well, like with Nemesis, what we're seeing, again, another trend is if we are having the strength of an IP that is a homegrown IP like Nemesis or Dance Macabre over Efteling, the evolution of those attractions, I feel, to your point, Laura, is that storytelling, and how are we taking the bits of hardware and building on that? So for Nemesis, I remember the steer that we were giving and trying to drive was, how do we make it feel alive? In 1994, the technology just wasn't there, but with the innovation of new technology through curved screens and animatronics, we were able to now bring Nemesis and make it feel like a living, breathing creature and tell that lure that has kind of gone a bit understated for a lot of the audience. And now we've got people coming to the park cosplaying the characters that we've built in the park, which is fantastic to see, because you know you've then made that connection between the audience, especially. And we can see that with Dance Macabre as well, that they've taken the classic, what was a really strong element, but through the tech that Intamin have created with that room and the show, that's really getting people to buy into, one, the nostalgic, but also the future-facing innovation of it as well.
I think also the more story-driven it is, the more opportunity there is for merchandising and the gift shop and everything else you can do. I mean, I know the Mac family do amazing stuff in terms of IP from their attractions going off into books and films and all sorts of stuff. So it's an interesting space. And I think also, speaking about the family nostalgia trend, I think family launch coasters is a really big trend that we've been seeing for the last few years as well. You must be seeing that as well, John, in your parks.
Absolutely. I mean, launches are an instant win when it comes to a thrill. Just having that acceleration, that sheer speed is just an instant win over, let's say, a slow chain lift. A drop on a chain lift is still impressive, but that instant boost, instant endorphins running through you at that point. So families and kids, definitely we're seeing more and more of that. For
sure. Okay, well, let's look ahead then to the future, which is a bit of a kind of blue sky thinking. What is the future of thrilling guests in terms of horror houses, coasters? Like, what do you think 10 years in the future people will want to experience?
I think for Horror Nights, people, like I said, we are trying to innovate what we do every year and make it uniquely different, but yet still give them the formula that they love. They love a haunted house, right? For Halloween Horror Nights, the guests come to our event to experience these amazing haunted houses, to really dig into the storytelling that we're doing in these haunted houses. But every year we're trying to be more immersive, more innovative, and we're doing that in uniquely different ways. I can't talk about a lot of what we're doing for 2025, but we are doing some really cool things in some of our haunted houses for 2025, trying to push those limits of what we have done before, and to make it a different experience for the guests, but with that classic haunted house experience that they love.
For sure. Is there any technologies you think would be coming in that you'd like to see one day?
We have tried to engage in some of that VR technology before, but I don't know. We're always looking for new technology to engage our guests, but still giving them that human experience. You know, we say our characters are the backbone of our experience, and it's because it's that human interaction that people get when someone scares you. We know that works better. We've had some of our intellectual properties in the past used more of that technical, mechanical type of scare, and it was beautiful to look at and beautiful to watch, and it really did pay homage to the intellectual property that we were working with. But really, it's ultimately that human scare that that's why people come to Halloween Horror Nights. But there are always ways that we're trying to, like I said, engage and immerse the guests in new and inventive ways. We're trying to push that envelope every year.
Mm-hmm. And I guess it's also new locations. I mean, you guys going to Vegas with a permanent attraction, maybe that's the future, is it's all year round. It's not just Halloween.
We really believe that is the future of Horror Nights. Horror Unleashed is going to be amazing for us, and the houses that are going to be a part of that Vegas attraction. We're just really hoping people will want that all year round. I mean, we know in Orlando, we're opening earlier and earlier every single year, because the fan base is there and they want it. So we're very excited about Horror Unleashed in Vegas.
Fantastic. And John, let's hear your thoughts. What do you think is the future of thrills?
So I think looking at the innovation technology that's being developed now, and what we're finding is a lot of technology is being developed by different companies without actually them realizing the usage that it could implement and actually impact our industry. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where, for me, that's where the magic is to your point, Laura. People want to come and experience these attractions in person. They can do so much at home now, and that's what we've got to kind of battle against, is how do we draw them out of their homes? How do we draw a 15-year-old boy away from his PlayStation and get them into our attractions to actually experience those worlds? And whether that's through the IPs that they might be experiencing in their home that we're now making a physical reality. But when I talk about like the technology and innovation, for me, it's about, you should never walk into an attraction just be able to go, that's how they made that work, or that's the magic. It should be hidden in a way. The technology should make you feel stuff and make you experience attractions in a way that it's raising the bar each time, but you don't know how that magic is done, and that technology should be a hidden piece of technology. And that's how I would hope that our future attractions would be, whether that's through haptics or digital environments that are so seamlessly integrated within the physical space. That for me would be like the future dream.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, I'm going to put you both on the spot a little bit and ask you for the final question is if you could share the biggest challenge that you're facing in your businesses right now. So it's a bit
I'll go first then on that one. I think it kind of taps into what I was just saying. I think people are expecting more and more, and that's because with everything being online now, people have so much more access to seeing things globally. Things are closer to them than they've ever been, but what that's doing is making us as a creative team have to think broader, be more innovative with our attractions, and always try and be a step ahead above the competition, as there are so many now popping up, like these immersive experiences now everywhere, and trying to stand out in the crowd can be a huge challenge. And that is where for us, that data, insights, consumer research is really helping drive a lot of that. But as a fan myself, it means we are getting so many amazing attractions and experiences worldwide that really the real winners are our guests at the end of the day.
Fantastic. Oh, I like that. We're just getting more and more.
Yeah.
Laura, what about you? What's the challenge you guys are facing?
I mean, I think I like to say we don't have any challenges. We can work through anything. But I think one of the biggest things to the kind of what John was saying was there's so many haunt events now all over, especially in the United States. That it's trying to get us to that next level, but giving the guests exactly what they expect, right? It's pushing that envelope, but still giving them that Halloween comfort food that Halloween Horror Nights is for so many people. But yeah, I think one of our biggest challenges, if I had to say one, is time. You know, we start developing Halloween Horror Nights. It's an 18-month development time, and we're getting earlier and earlier every year so that we can have these new innovative products, but giving people exactly what they love. So yeah, I just think it is getting people, like John said, getting people out of their houses into our events. Once they're there, they'll keep coming back, as we've seen, but collecting all that data to try to innovate, to try to make things new and engaging so our fans will return to us year after year.
Fantastic. So you have to keep a note of which cycle you're on so you don't give away any secrets for next year. Fantastic. Okay, well, I think that's really great insights from you both on everything Halloween and coasters and everything in the thrills category. Thank you, Laura and John, for your time, and thank you everyone for watching at home. Stay tuned because we'll be announcing the winners of the Innovation Awards thrills category right next. So thank you everyone and enjoy the rest of the festival.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, bye.
And now, the winners of the blooloop Innovation Awards 2024 Thrills category. In third place, Crown's Edge, Icon of the Seas from Royal Caribbean International. Second place, Interactive Dark Coaster Primordial from Triotech. And first place, Thought Park Hyperia from Merlin Entertainments. Congratulations to all of the winners.